Welcome back to On the Horizon podcast, hosted by Jessie Sage and Melrose Michaels. First, thank you so much for becoming a premium subscriber and supporting our podcast. This is getting you extra exclusive, unheard, and unseen footage from each interview that we have on the horizon.
King Noire is an accomplished writer, artist, MC, and global activist using the proceeds from his album Music Is My Weapon to build a school, freshwater well, and medical clinic in Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. Before we filmed, you said that you brought a bag out. We want to see what's in your bag. So,
bag of toys.
Let's say Melrose and I hire you to come in and do a fetish session with us.
She says this as my husband texts me. Just by the way, people should know he's got a spidey sense.
He's like, "What y'all doing right now?"
Nothing, I swear.
What do you bring?
Fetish? So like I was just telling y'all beforehand, I have an extremely extensive whole bag that has to get checked. I can't bring it as a carry-on.
Yeah.
But, so I like to say to people, let's just go through a couple of things. Are you into impact play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm asking you. This is your session right now.
Yeah, I thought this was hypothetical.
Well,
yeah.
Okay. So impact play. Are you more of a thuddy person or a sting person? So, think of a thud as this part of your hand.
Yeah.
If you're getting spanked, and think of a sting as this part of your hand. The middle is more of a cup. So that makes the sound, but the thud and the sting.
Thud.
Yeah, probably me too.
So I have a good range of them. Let me see what I can actually reach in this bag right now. So the most thuddy shit I got in my bag right now. This is a deer antler.
A deer
antler? It is. Yes.
Is it really?
It really is.
Wow.
Do you have vegan options?
I do have vegan options as well. Yes. But this is actually from somebody who uses the entire animal. So
that's amazing.
That's why I respect it with it. But so like, for example, some people are like, hell no, this is going to mark me up ridiculously. But there's different ways to use it. Like you can also just use it for feel because it has like a lot of texture to it. Also for thuddy, I have a very nice vegan paddle right here for you. But then, of course, my hands. I really like to use my hands in different ways because I personally, I guess, I have a fetish for gloves. I like using gloves in sessions. So I have gloves with different feels, anything from construction gloves all the way to like latex gloves that provide different feels for spanks.
Yeah. I'm a hand person. I like hands. Yeah.
Yes. And also, floggers.
I have one of those. Yeah.
These are always my favorite. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the stuff that I could reach for the thuddy stuff. For people who like more sting, I got my dragon tail right here. This is one of my favorites. Then I have a whole lot of different items. I could actually use this for some thud, but this is something I like to use. This is actually saran
that's
wrap.
like a saran wrap thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for saran wrap for people who like mummification fetish. Which also goes really, really well with impact play because you get held into one position and then you already have this one feeling of the saran wrap or latex or whatever we're mummifying you in. Yeah. And it like heightens your senses because you're not able to move. You're not able to get away from that sensation or that feeling. Mm-hmm. So that's what, like, going back to what I said earlier about there's no, like, to me, if you're making love the same way twice, you're doing it wrong. And it's the same kind of thing when it comes to fetishes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how you just said, I like thuds, but I need vegan options. You know what I'm saying? Like there's someone else out there that's like, hit me with a raw steak, please. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody is different. So I think that's what makes it fascinating. Like so many people think, like, for example, like, one of the fetishes, whenever you ask about fetishes that people think about first and foremost, everybody's like foot fetish. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if you talk to somebody who's really, really into feet, everybody is really, really different. Like some people like, I like people who the bottom of their feet, you can see the blood, like people who have more red on the bottom of their feet. And other people like, no, I like people where it's more like their skin tone. Or I like toes. I like arches.
Or calluses, or dirty feet walking around the floor.
I am a sneakerhead. You know what I'm saying? I like shoes. So not just shoes on my feet, but I love shoes on women's feet as well. So it's kind of like it's all very, very different. And that's what I find fascinating.
Yeah. And what you do with it too, because like I had someone that would hire me to take pictures of me stomping little things in high heels.
Yeah.
And that was like its own thing too. And I was like, I feel like this falls under foot fetish, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe like being small fetish and giant fetish. But
giantess stuff. Yeah. I used to have somebody who wanted me to talk about like how dirty my house was. Like, and I'm walking around the house, like my dirty house with bare feet, and my feet are going to be so dirty.
That's so funny. Too, I want to touch on, because especially now that you brought up like things like mummification and fetishes that I would say a lot of more vanilla people listening to this might not have even considered, or it was not top of mind for them or even in their line of sight. But like some of these fetishes have a lot of like real roots and things like trust and intimacy. And I wanted to know if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think like mummification, for example, sometimes people want to just feel the same way you feel from having a weighted blanket.
Yeah.
That security, that tightness, that feeling of security that you have when you're wrapped up in somebody's love, basically, you know,
or like going back to swaddling.
There you go. And you know, even like for me, like my fetish, it's random, but like for flogging, I did martial arts for most of my youth. When I saw somebody throwing a flogger, I was like, holy shit, pleasurable nunchucks. Like, you get the fuck out of here. That's amazing. Yeah. So it's like, for me, I enjoy the athleticism and working on accuracy and just the physicality that's involved in it. Like, I like that feel of it. Right.
Yeah.
And then some people from the impact, you know, you're getting all these waves through your body, especially if it's on your lower half, that you get going through your pudendal nerve, and people like that feeling of sensation. Some people like that closeness to danger, but you're not really in a dangerous situation. You're close with your dom who's making sure that you're safe, but the items you use, like I'm into knife play. So a lot of people that I have who are into knife play like that feel of possible danger and taking it up like another level. I have clients who've hired me for like consensual kidnappings and things like that. And they like the idea of completely losing all control.
Yeah.
And the idea that what they do is keeping them, you know, sharp and in the moment and all of these things, you know. So it's like, and even with something like a consensual kidnapping scenario, people have all kinds of different ideas of how they want it to go. They're like, I want to fuck my way out of it. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't want to know when it's going to happen. So that could come from, you know, places in their past where they had no control over a situation that now they are able to control, reclaim, and work through some trauma through their BDSM session. And I do say, for anybody who's interested in doing that, also do that with working with a therapist. You don't want the BDSM session to be your only way of working through trauma, but it definitely is something that can help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you bring this up, because I feel like a lot of people will talk about the fact that like BDSM for them is therapeutic, or it feels therapeutic, or it's healing in some way. Do you want to like speak to that, or as to why that could be for people?
Well, I mean, I think kind of just going back to what I said of, if you were ever in a scenario or a situation where you had no control and it wasn't something that was positive, being able to revisit that, whether it's through BDSM or some other kind of role play that people use with their therapists, and I'm not saying do BDSM with your therapist. That's a whole different
right.
But you know, like role play that you do with your therapist to walk you through certain scenarios, to talk out situations you might have been in. You know, BDSM can do that, and it can also do it in ways that aren't specifically tied to things that you've been through. But I know, like, there's a lot of catharsis and pain. You know, like, and like I said, I did martial arts for most of my life. Like, there was something for me about sparring and getting in the ring with boxing. Like, when I get hit, I'm not thinking about doing my taxes or whatever the fuck else is out there. Like, I'm just like, I'm not getting hit again.
It's very centering. Yeah.
or whatever. Or I got to take and fight through this pain. Right. Mm-hmm. So, you know, some people look at it that way. I know a lot of people who enjoy getting suspended, you know, like with rope or shibari and are suspended from the ground because they're like, in that moment, there's nothing else that I can think of other than this rope that is, you know, tightening around my body. Mm-hmm. And that happens for subs. And also, like, I can speak for myself, like as a dom, I have to pay so much attention to my bottom or my sub in those scenarios that I am not thinking about anything else that could stress me out because I want to make sure that they're safe as we get through this session. So, you know, that's cathartic.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Marathon is today, and I haven't been a marathon runner in like
I was going to more
than a decade, but I used to be a marathon runner, and I feel like that was my experience of long distance running was like I thought when I got into it, like when I first started it, I was like, I'm going to go on these long runs and I'm going to like have all these like profound thoughts. And it turned out that I didn't have like any thoughts at all, but that was like the good thing about it was like the only thought I'm having is like just make it to the next pole and then to the next like thing and then to the next thing, and it was just like left, right, left, right, left, right,
I
left,
was
right.
I relate it differently to the pain, not pain, I guess, but like having to overcome when you're physically like done and tired, but then the mental kicks in, and that is such an experience of like, oh, I'm so much stronger than I thought I was, and then getting to relive that through running. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful thing too.
For sure.
Yeah. MistesSkye has been in the adult scene for more than 35 years. She started as a brothel madam at a young age and now is a highly regarded and respected kink specialist and educator. I read on your website that you are a former brothel madam, and I want to know about that, which isn't about our topic, but I'm curious how that happened.
You want to hear something weird? All right. Yeah. I don't even believe this is happening. All day today, I was thinking about that. All day.
Really? Because we were talking about it.
All day. And you know how I reached out to you and I was like, I'm having these weird psychic-y things. Please don't think I'm a freak and a weirdo. Like, I kind of hate that I have this. I've had it my whole life. I can't say hate. I don't like that word. But it felt like something today. So you're freaking me out a little bit, telling me that you were...
I'm sorry.
You guys were talking about it today? Is that what you said?
We were. Because I was like, I didn't know that about you. And that's interesting. And I was just curious. Yeah.
What I was thinking about today is I had mentioned it about a year or so ago publicly, and I got slammed a little bit, like pimp. And I was thinking about that today because I was like, oh no. And I was thinking someday I'm going to tell the story because it's absolutely not that, because I loathe pimps. I loathe street pimps. So I was thinking about that today, about saying to you guys at some point in the future, could I come on and I want to talk about this. So the fact that you're bringing it up now, it's sort of freaking me out. So I would love the opportunity to a little bit about it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's the sign that we were supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think so too. It's freaking me out a little bit. I don't get rattled easy, but this kind of thing, you know. Let's see. So, Jessie, you may have seen me over the years talk about my best friend of, I guess, like this year is going to be 40 years. And she has DID, which most people know as multiple personality disorder. And I probably wouldn't believe that it's a real thing if I didn't live it for the past 4 decades. And it was actually her that was the catalyst for me getting involved with that, because one of her personalities has this very complex relationship with men. Like, can't live without them, but hates them at the same time. So we were very young. We were probably minors. I can't remember quite that age range. But I would go to check on her, and that just sort of morphed into me tending to her, then me tending to some of the other women that worked there. And I was doing things like privately they would hide money from their pimps. So I was setting up like a little bank.
Wow.
The fact that they even trusted me with their money and trusted me not to out them to their pimp, like all this trust I couldn't believe. So they would squirrel away a little bit of money and I put it in an envelope and I would hold it for them. And that they were more productive and happier people because they sort of had this exit plan. And that morphed into me caring for more and more of the people that work there. And then one of the night managers got caught skimming. And I thought, are you out of your mind skimming from these like South Philly Italians? you know? So, and looking back at it now, it's kind of rare that they would even trust a woman back in the 80s. In that position. But they did. And that's how it parlayed. So I took full advantage because I just wanted to help the women any way I could, any way they needed. And I set up, like, one of my conditions was, okay, I'll do this if I can set up an in-house bank where we actually use where I'm not carrying the money. The money is dropped into the floor safe. If they want to exit plan, we're going to help them exit plan. And, you know, you kind of wouldn't think that they would go along with that, but they did. And it worked out really well. And that was sort of the main reason I was there. Like, I have such great memories of that time because of the relationships that I built. I'm still friends with some of those women now, 40, you know, like 35, 30 years later. So that's how it started. And then it just sort of grew because they owned other spots throughout Philadelphia. So I would oversee those as well. And it was mostly me wanting to advocate for women. And that's where a lot of my advocacy for sex workers started.
Wow. Yeah,
so
that's so interesting.
That's like
that.
a super
definitely
nutshell.
dig into that more at some point. Like that's
anytime.
Really cool.
I mean, I got stories out the wazoo, so anytime,
We hope you enjoyed this bonus footage from this episode of On the Horizon, and we look forward to having you tune in next time.